We have a special guest, Jack Congdon, the pride of UMass. He's an upcoming mixed martial arts fighter who just won his first title out of the Cage Titans promotion. I went to one of his fights a couple months ago. He won easily in the first minute with a spinning back heel kick. It was electric, crazy atmosphere. And he used to show me some moves. We went to UMass together, and he would tear me apart on the jiu-jitsu mat. But he taught me a lot, and it's great to see the journey that he's going through. So thanks for joining us today, Jack.
Thanks for having me. I guess I wouldn't say, I dominated you in jiu-jitsu. It was always a good matchup because you're just such an animal physically. Even with like a little more technique, like it's like trying to submit a bear. Anyways, but good times at UMass Jiu-Jitsu.
It's fun. Yeah, I'd always get after it, but Jack just had the better technique. He's been doing the martial arts for years and years, and he'd get me with these moves I'd never seen before. But I'd give him the best shot, and hopefully he got a good workout out of it at least.
Oh, absolutely, dude. We'd be rolling for like hours straight. It was brutal.
But yeah, Jack has taken it to a whole nother level now. He's been training consistently, and as you can see, he's right on the verge of potentially becoming a professional fighter. So Jack, we were just wondering if you could go a little bit into the background, how you got started, how your fight game has evolved, and just where you are right now.
Yeah, so I started training when I was 8. So I was doing like Taekwondo and No-gi Jiu-Jitsu back then. Not like super serious when you're that age, right? But like you get that that background in both striking and grappling from that. Kept through it as a kid, as a teenager. Did some grappling tournaments as a teenager. In high school, kind of fell off a little bit because you're doing other sports, right? Like you're doing, like I did football and I did track, so I never totally stopped doing it, but that takes up a lot of your time, so I didn't really compete quite as much. College, obviously we did the UMass Jiu-Jitsu club. I trained at NESF, so shout out them. But yeah, competed like maybe like once a semester, but after graduation, just really kind of ratcheted it up in terms of like the type of training. Like I'm really focusing on the specific martial arts now, as well as MMA specific training, if that makes sense. And doing more strength conditioning and just keeping the routine consistent. So just kind of slowly pick things up over the years.
Yeah. So I guess that's
kind of become the main focus. Sorry,
was this always a dream for you, doing mixed martial arts? Yeah.
So I always wanted to fight when I was a little kid. Like it'll sound kind of corny, but like I first got into mixed martial arts because I watched like the Rocky movies. So I was like, I was like 8 years old. I had way too much energy. I was like, I want to do that. So that has always kind of been in the back of my mind for like what my goal was from doing martial arts. But you can only do it when you're 18, and then even then, like you don't really see 18-year-olds getting in there anymore because you really want to have be well-rounded, having done all the different aspects for years really before you step in there with another guy. So but it is something that I've always kind of wanted to do.
Oh, because not a lot of people, like UFC wasn't around back when we were growing up really, so it was the Rocky movie. That's awesome.
Yeah, it was there, just wasn't popular. Yeah,
that's true.
Shout out.
Well, yeah, you've come a long way, because just so we can put it out there, Jack right now is 4-0 in mixed martial arts fights. He also won a kickboxing match, just showing his all-around ability. So he's gone through a whole string of victories here to start out. Now, Brennan did a lot of research the last couple of days on some of the opponents as well. So, Brennan, looking at any of the fights, do you want to talk about any of them to start out?
Yeah, I was just, because we were watching it, a lot of it's on YouTube, which is awesome.
Yeah.
And your first 2 fights, you were my age, like straight out of college. It was September, November of 2019, so a couple months after you graduated. Were you training, starting that like as soon as you graduated, or I know you were doing stuff throughout college, but when did you really just say I'm all in?
Yeah, pretty much like right after graduation. So I traveled a little bit, like for a couple weeks right after graduation. And then after that, like there were some guys in the gym that were already booked for that card. I think it was in like August or September. So it was kind of like, you know, we've got a few other guys in the gym that are already on the card. It's like, okay, yeah, I want to hop on too. And when you do get that date, it's like, yeah, you're all in from there. So it was kind of, the timing of it worked out well. It was just like that quick turnaround. Like you said, you know, you go from school to, all right, this is the next thing.
Were you doing that full time, or did you have a job also?
No, I was working. At the time, I was working for a contractor. So doing kind of like a little bit of everything, like painting, carpentry stuff, like roofing. So, you know, whatever it was. But yeah, that's what I was doing at the time. But I was working full time. I still am.
Oh, so how do you balance that? Do you work out in the mornings and then at night, or?
So I work out at night. Usually depends on the day of the week, but I pretty much train 6 days a week. Friday is kind of my rest day. Generally try to get double sessions in at night. Not every single night, but like the weekdays are for MMA specific training. And then Saturday as well. And Saturday in particular, I do kind of the team training where all the guys from the area come in and we all hit Lozon's MMA. And we do like 5-minute rounds of some wall work. Get that in on Saturdays. As well as like on the weekends, like that's when I generally get more of like my lifts or my strength conditioning stuff in. Like before we were on this, I went for a run and got a lift in, but you know, just that's kind of when I got the time to on the weekends, right? So you got to get it in.
Yeah, that's awesome. Have you ever trained with that? Because I know Rob Font just fought last night, and he's from Mass.
Yeah.
Have you ever trained with that guy?
Nah, did you guys see that though?
Yeah, that was a great fight.
That was insane, dude. There were a couple of times where I thought he was gonna finish Jose Aldo, and then it was so back and forth. Both of them were like totally swollen. It was nuts. It was so weird because like Aldo's looked like it almost got better through the fight. Did you guys see that?
Yeah.
It was like real bad in round 3, and then it was like I don't know, it wasn't good, but it got kind of better.
Yeah, Paul was just there jabbing all because his eye was wicked swollen. Jose Aldo's. Same with, Paul got clipped a few times. Yeah. Jose's got some power.
He's fast, dude.
Yeah, he's strong. He's tough.
Yeah.
Jack,
I guess at least
a good question I think that ties in right here.
Yeah.
Because we were saying if there was one UFC fighter that you would compare yourself to, who would that be? And then who would you want to face in a UFC matchup?
So I really like, and you know, I take some stylistically from, you guys must know Stephen Wonderboy Thompson, right?
Yeah.
Kickboxing.
Yeah. Yep. So that kind of karate, kickboxing background it's pretty similar to what I have. Like I did Taekwondo, but that traditional martial arts. I've even got people have said like we kind of look alike before too. So it's, you know, it is kind of funny in that regard too. But yeah, I think somewhat similar stylistically on the feet. I would say he's like really karate, where I'm like a more kind of kickboxing / traditional martial arts. But yeah, if I could, I think that would be the dream matchup. You know, if I get to the point where I can go up against him, I think that'd be a very exciting matchup. We're obviously a ways away from that, but you know, it'd be pretty dope.
You never know with this trajectory, and I can see it because we've been able to see through the fights how your striking's improved. That's the biggest thing that stood out to Brandon. And even when I went to one fight a few months ago, I mean, you knocked him out stand up, and I'd only seen you for the most part on the ground in jiu-jitsu. So it was amazing to see. And what do you really credit that striking to? Was it something that you did over the pandemic, just getting in the cage a couple more times? Because the development's amazing.
Yeah, so I would say it's really kind of due to, like I've been working with my kickboxing coach, Mike Avila, a ton now. So, you know, he was always there and a part of Lakeville MMA team as well. But, you know, been working with him and my other coach, John Mirando, on our striking in particular a lot more, whereas in the past where I was competing in like grappling tournaments,
Yes.
it was kind of like, yeah, I did more grappling stuff, but now it's like, if you're doing MMA, every match and every round starts on your feet, so you'd better be good there.
Every time and get the momentum.
Yeah, right. And if you have good takedown defense too, or if you're looking at it from like a strategic standpoint, where like you can say, okay, maybe you're good on the ground, but you have to get your opponent to the ground.
Yes.
You have to keep them on the ground, and then you have to submit them. And with 3-minute rounds in amateurs or 5-minute rounds, like that's not a lot of time to do that if you are facing a high level guy, and it takes a ton of energy too. Whereas striking, I feel like, you know, you can be a lot more efficient, kind of control the pace, and you always do have that shot for like that sort of instant game over too.
Yeah, just one punch and it's over.
Yeah, exactly. So yeah, I feel like I've been working on that a bit, and that's kind of the style that I'm enjoying.
Yeah, because I could tell that huge difference from your first 2 fights than your last 2 in particular, where you just look a lot more comfortable up on your feet. And I guess what have been the biggest difference too in your mentality from your first couple fights to where you are now, a champ at the amateur? Like, are there less nerves or same nerves, and you're just able to control it and conserving energy in the cage and all that stuff?
Yeah, so it was kind of weird because my first fight, so you know, we were kind of talking about earlier, it was something I wanted to do for a long time, right?
Mm-hmm.
So when it got time to actually get in there, it was kind of weird because I had always fought, or I had always seen fights growing up locally at Plymouth Memorial Hall, which is just a venue where, we have the fights you've been there, Davis.
Yes.
But it was weird because you kind of have a picture in your head, right? You know, when you're doing these sorts of things, you're visualizing, and you need to. But when I went out there, it was weird because it wasn't exactly kind of how I pictured it. The place wasn't totally packed. I don't know, the energy just wasn't what I expected it to be. And I kind of I was like, why am I not more jacked up? Why am I not more jacked up? Like, you know, you get in a fight, you're finally here. So I kind of overdid it. So like, I don't know if you saw, and like leading into the fight, I'm like beating my chest, being kind of a caveman, really. But I was like really trying to get myself jacked up because I was kind of in a weird headspace going into it. Second fight, I almost sort of underdid it. And I was kind of like, okay, you went in way too amped up last time. You know, you went out, you tried to kick him in the face and he took you down off of it. You know, go in chill. And I almost think I went in too chill because my opponent, if you guys remember, came out absolutely swinging in the second fight and caught me pretty good. And then it was like kind of an adrenaline dump, right? Whereas I would say third and fourth time around, I'm really quite a bit more in control of my emotions. Like nothing really gets to me. Nothing really changes the focus, the mindset, the goal. So yeah, I would say that's the biggest thing mentality wise, is like, regardless of anything else, I'm in control of my mindset, and nothing else, kind of can break my focus.
Yeah, that's awesome. I guess, how did you develop that? Just through experience, or did you read books or have mentors that was able to foster this mindset?
I mean, I think it comes a lot just from kind of the experience of it. Like, you know, you're going through every single time, learning every time. You know, I do some reading right now. So the biggest book that I've read the last couple of fights going into it is the Book of Five Rings, if you guys have heard of that.
Yeah, I've heard of that. About the samurai.
Yes. Yeah. So that is what I've read the last couple of times going into it. And it's obviously not really exactly the same, right? Like he's going into a sword fight, but the mindset that he has of the absolute focus and the fearlessness going into a combat situation like that is what I feel like really carries through. And when you do go in kind of fearless like that, you stay calm, you see the openings, and then you capitalize on them, you know?
Yeah, you knock the guy out.
Yeah. For you guys though, I guess I wanted to ask you guys too, when you're doing like the Ironmans and the marathons and the stuff like that, that's different because like, at least for me, right, like I've got to stay focused for 15 minutes tops, right?
Yes.
And I almost have in my opponent, like it's like you better be focused, right? Like he's across from you there. That is sort of called the object of your focus, and you're pushing against each other, right? So it's almost like it makes sense that you're gonna be focused, right? But you're pushing through these like Ironman or marathons, and it's all by yourself. So I guess what keeps you sane through that? Because that's not something I would ever really see myself doing. That's crazy to me.
Yeah, I guess Davis, you can start out. Davis has a different mentality though. It's crazy. But.
I just like doing the endurance challenges. Even from the time I was a little kid, we'd do little challenges like who can do the most laps around the block, rollerblading or biking.
Yeah.
The longest. So I think that just carries through. Or it's something I naturally like. I like to just go out and run, see how long I can go for, and I'll just stay focused on the goal because you're right in the moment. I think it's easier because you don't have someone who's trying to knock you out. You don't have someone to counter. It's really just you, your body, and your mind controlling it. And at some point, it's going to give out. So just pushing a little bit farther every day. But I like to just set a long-term goal and say, hey, can I hit it? And for some reason, I like it. I know a lot of people don't, but I think it's really fun.
Yeah.
All right, man.
I also think a difference too is like if you think about a marathon compared to a sprint, I would think of a fight as like a sprint where you're exerting a lot of energy in a short period of time. And if you gas yourself out, like I ran cross country, which is 5K, which is 3 miles, and you're going hard, and you can hit that wall after a mile where your mind's telling you quit, 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 and then you're battling, and those last 10 minutes feel like 2 hours. Where in a marathon, if you're just cruising at that nice pace where your body's not really telling you to quit, it's a lot easier to go farther. But eventually you'll hit that point, but it's all about pacing. You just got to pace yourself out and then just training. Because if you don't train, it's judgment day when you run a marathon because it's not easy. And it's the same thing with fighting. Like if you don't train and then you get into that cage, you're going to get smoked.
Right. There's consequences.
Because I know Brent and I, we've done a little bit of martial arts. We've both done some jiu-jitsu classes. Brent's taking some boxing classes now. And it's just such an all-around workout. I mean, in that 10-minute time frame, you're probably as tired as someone who's just run a marathon. It's just a much higher intensity.
I don't know about that, but.
I don't know. I'd get gassed. We'd do the sessions like 10, 20 minutes, and you're gassed. I mean, you're bruised up because you're fighting two at the same time. So it's a different workout, I feel like. But both in their own respects are just insanely tough.
Yeah, but dude, like 3-4 hours straight of running in a marathon, you're telling me you wouldn't be more tired?
I don't think so. Because you get off and you're only working one muscle group. So like you're just running. Whereas in the jiu-jitsu, if you're rolling, like you could literally pass out maybe from dehydration or something wearing the gi in those places.
Yeah, that could happen running marathon too.
Yeah, I mean they're both tough, but what belt are you in jiu-jitsu?
Blue.
You're a blue belt. So are most of the guys that you fight, are they blue belts or are there any like high level jiu-jitsu guys?
I think the first 3 were. The last guy I fought for the belt was a black belt in BJJ.
Oh, damn. Wow. Yeah, because you won the knockout too, so.
Well, yeah, that was the big thing. It was like, and we worked on it a lot in camp. It was like, you don't get taken down. I feel I'm still good on the ground, particularly in no-gi and the way MMA grappling kind of plays out. Like, I felt like I'd be okay and be able to wrestle him if it did hit the ground, and I'd be able to survive. But it was kind of an obvious area where, like, hey, my strength is going to be in my striking. His strength is going to be on the ground. Keep it striking. so working takedown defense. And they haven't posted that fight yet, but hopefully they do soon. You'll see, like, he goes for, I don't know, it's probably at least like 5 takedown attempts throughout the fight. But I was able to stuff them all and keep him on the feet.
Yeah, because they just posted that clip where you knocked them out on Cage.
Yeah.
Do you think you're gonna go pro?
So I'm talking with my coaches. We're looking at doing Golden Gloves in January. So that's boxing.
That's that.
Yeah.
We'll have
So
to
that should be fun.
Yeah, that's awesome.
Word. Yeah, it's up in Lowell. So
Yeah.
right nearby you guys.
Those fights when we were little kids, and even right now we'll go every now and then.
Say it again, Davis. It kind of cut out a little bit for a sec.
Yeah, so growing up, we would go watch the Golden Gloves boxing matches in Lowell. Our dad would take us up.
Word.
So we're familiar with it.
Word.
A couple of years ago before the pandemic. So if you're up there, we've got to see those fights. That's another major fighting tournament.
Yeah, it should be fun. And yeah, for me, like the reason I'm doing it is more so just kind of like taking that time to clean up a couple of bad habits that I have striking wise, like stuff like I'm not going to say what it is.
Yeah.
But
give away the game plan.
Yeah. But yeah, like clean up some things, and then kind of see where I'm at from there, and then make that decision afterwards. But kind of one thing at a time right now, you know.
Yeah.
It was being great to
kind of a boring answer, but.
Yeah. And I would say the atmosphere up there is also, it's really good. There's high energy. The places are almost always packed, especially for the title fights. And that's one thing that stuck out to me about Cage Titans. The fight I went to, the whole arena was filled, probably 2,000 people standing remote.
Yep.
And I've never seen anything like that. So I'm guessing the Cage Titans has probably grown as a promotion as well.
Yeah. Oh, for sure, dude. Like, and that card that you were at in particular was so nuts because it was the first one back from COVID for people too. So they were ready for it.
Yeah.
Like they had been pent up for a while, and you could feel it 100%, dude. You know the difference when you're in there. I'm telling you.
And also, it's your hometown crowd. You're from right in that area, so I mean, you could.
Yeah.
When you walked out, they announced you're fighting at a local gym. The place exploded, and then you win by knockout in the first round. It goes even crazier. I mean, there was something.
It was nuts. Yeah, dude, it's a crazy feeling. Just that atmosphere. It's like nothing else, and you really couldn't explain it if you weren't there. You know?
It's madness. Yeah, and you're
I-
That's what it's all about.
Like
We're huge fighting fans just because of the excitement. There's nothing like it. I mean, you'd see it. I mean, when someone wins in the cage like that, I mean, there's a different level of energy. I think even in the Golden Gloves, there's something different because this was mixed martial arts where that's just boxing. But we'll find out, I guess.
Yeah, should be fun.
Is the cage? Yeah, sorry.
No, you're good.
I was just because Davis and I were talking about this yesterday too. Is like, let's say you would if you want to get signed by the UFC, would you have to go fight in a premier league, or would they pull somebody from Cage Titans?
They have pulled people from Cage Titans in the past.
Okay.
Yeah.
So is that the Premier League around Mass?
It's one of the biggest promotions for sure in New England.
Oh wow. Okay.
Yeah. So yeah, Cage Titans is pretty big around here.
That's awesome. I gotta get to one of those.
Yeah, the next one.
You do.
I missed the other one because of work, but yeah, Davis was hyping it up.
Pick it out in time. And I know we want to go to the last one, but it's UMass homecoming weekend, and we are going out to see our other brother, which is tough. But I guess one last question that I have is, one other thing we could bring up is you're also very smart. At UMass, you're in the business program, Eisenberg School of Management, and you did really well. All the discipline you have in fighting clearly rolls over into that. I mean, you did well in class. Do you ever get enticed to just go into business full time, focus on that? Or do you think you'll stay true to your dream that's really becoming a reality with the fight track?
Yeah, so I think that word in particular, enticed, I don't know, man, like what's more enticing, like MMA or like the 9-to-5 desk job, right? Right, like it's the reality, like, you know, you got to do that right now in order to you know, it pays for your training right now while, you know, like I'm an amateur, I'm not making any money off of it. So it's a necessity, and obviously MMA is a risky
Yes.
business or line of work, so good to have a backup plan. If you even want to call it that. But so yeah, you know, it's one of those things where you got to balance that, and that's what you first asked me, I think, about Brennan. But yeah, you got to keep that balance. But you know, I'm gonna stay true to. I'm gonna keep working hard. I'm gonna stay disciplined. I'm gonna keep getting better, and my belief is that in doing that, it'll take me to where I want to get to.
Let's go. I think so. I was telling Brian, you're my pick to make the UFC. I see it happening.
Go.
Watch out, it's coming. And then after, then you can go work whatever you want. Take the nice, easy days in the office. But for now, I love that you're getting after it. It's inspiring me.
I'm losing you, Davis.
Yeah, Davis, you're cutting out, Davis. You're
Cutting out? Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah. Did you hear the part where I'm saying you're going to the UFC?
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah, I'd say go to the UFC,
time.
go out there, have the fun, and then you can have all the easy days at the desk job after when you're not getting hit.
Exactly, right?
Yeah.
Get the whole life of that.
Yeah. So it's
Awesome.
inspiring.
Inspire. Congdon's
Hey,
inspiring people. Let's go. All
Hey,
right.
same with you guys, the absolutely mad things that you guys do. Like it's just crazy, man. Because like even with the workouts that I do, like I see you guys running like 15 miles in the mornings, like just as like a chill day.
Sometimes.
That's crazy.
Yeah. I don't know. I trained 12 miles yesterday. I did some biking today. But if you ever want to do some cross training, we always say the Diaz brothers do triathlons. So if you're get after, maybe we'll have to go in the gym and try to fight again. Who knows?
Yeah, no, absolutely. I mean, I'm a land animal, so you're not really going to catch me swimming.
Oh.
But yeah, I'm down to do running. You know, the rule of thumb is kind of like a mile for every round at fighting. So I've not run 15 miles maybe ever, but you know,
I've carried 10K.
Yeah. But hey, even if you guys just beat me up doing that, and then we switch things around, like you said, do the MMA training, kind of a fun day. Yeah.
I'd be down to do that actually, because I did a little bit of jiu-jitsu. So
yeah,
let's do it.
Yeah.
All right, we'll try to get that together in the future.
Oh, come.
Yeah. I mean, I'm out of camp right now, so I've got a little bit more time. So
let's go.
Okay.
Oh,
yeah. I lost you, Davis.
Yeah. Do we have any more questions? Anything we want to talk about, Jack, Brennan?
No, I think that's all I got. I don't know if Jack has anything else, but I guess if you have anything you want to say to your fans, your followers, because that's a big thing of fighting now is the Instagram, the social media. So I guess where can you? We'll link your Instagram, but any final words that you want to?
Yeah, I mean, so Instagram's Jack Congdon 50. I don't know, I guess shout out Lakeville MMA, KO Gym in New Bedford, Brazilian top team in Taunton, and then I also train at Lozon's team train. So shout out all of them. You're saying fans, like, so I guess everybody that comes to the fights, and kind of more and more now every fight, you know, it means a lot, right? Like, you know, you're spending a good chunk of change, and you know, you're taking a day to go there. And we were talking about the energy of things before too, and you really feel when, you know, all the energy of the people that are there for you. So that makes a difference. So thank you for that. Yeah, thank you guys for having me on. Yeah, good seeing you guys. Good chatting. Yeah, we'll have to get a workout in, and yeah, just cool to talk about the different mindsets. It's like, yeah, MMA is one thing, but the stuff you guys do is also nuts. Like you gotta have it right upstairs.
Agreed. Well, Jack, thank you so much, and good luck in the Golden Gloves if you end up participating.
Yeah, appreciate it. Yeah, hopefully see you guys soon, either there or working out.
Let's go.
Dude, Jack Congdon, up and coming MMA fighter, soon to be UFC champ at this rate. But we'll see what happens. He's got a lot going for him, and he's going to do big things.